Welcome to Big Five and Startup City Talks. This is your host, Abe Seksek, and today I have a wonderful guest, Natalia, heading up Entrepreneurship at Dubai Chamber. Today, Natalia will be talking about our ecosystem in Dubai. But before that, let me introduce myself and let's know more about the guest. I am a serial entrepreneur who started in MENA 15 years ago with a couple of exits, and currently working as the CEO and MD of Startupbootcamp, MENA and Russia. We are a startup accelerator that helps a lot of startups, early startups, to accelerate their growth into MENA and Russia. Welcome, Natalia.
Thank you very much for having me.
Please tell me more about yourself.
Well, my name is Natalia, and I'm working with Dubai Chamber of Commerce. And we at Dubai Chamber of Commerce share the mission of promoting, advocating, and supporting the private sector of Dubai. And since 2016, Dubai Chamber has proactively been investing time, resources, and efforts into building, designing the programs and services catered toward technology-enabled companies to ensure that we further propel the innovation within Dubai.
And let's talk about the ecosystem in Dubai and then in the UAE and then obviously in MENA. So what can you tell me about this ecosystem that you'd like to share? I know you guys as Dubai Chamber are very, very active in that whole ecosystem.
It's a conversation that we could speak for hours, obviously sharing our interesting experiences. Again, I'll go back to the experience of what we have seen and have gone through during our 5-year journey with the Dubai Startup Hub Entrepreneurship arm of Dubai Chamber. Since our inception in 2016, we have served more than 9,000 entrepreneurs and founders who have gone through our services and programs. Dubai Chamber, when we came to the space of entrepreneurship 5 years ago, we were very clear that the space is getting very crowded with diverse incubators, accelerators, co-working spaces, and so on and so forth. So for us, the most important question that we were answering to ourselves first is where this extra value that we could create for both for startups, entrepreneurs, and for aligned with our mandate and with our infrastructure and capabilities. And the answer was to provide clarity, direction, and business opportunities to ensure that both the incubators, we could support incubators and accelerators with the funnel of entrepreneurs who are interested to come to Dubai or to become entrepreneurs in Dubai, as well as to ensure that we are supporting this talent coming from the startups and expanding their presence internationally through the network of international offices of Dubai Chamber. So today, right, 5 years after, what we see in the market, Dubai by now have matured. The ecosystem has matured in the sense that we have all 5 elements that the ecosystem would have. We have incubators, accelerators, both locally present names, international names coming to the market, nicely distributed between Abu Dhabi and Dubai, covering the whole UAE. We have a growing number of the governmental initiatives, and again, we cannot underestimate, and getting closer to the subject of the construction industry, I think in such fundamental and strategic industries, public-private partnership is exceptionally important, and the fact that various government departments and agencies are coming with entrepreneurship-focused programs, I think it's a great testimony to UAE and Dubai efforts in supporting entrepreneurs. We have various events, right? And this is what you need. You need to find your mentor. You need to find your role model, and events are a great part of it. And it was terrific to see how Dubai was coming back to offline events and the business activity with GITEX 2020 hosted as a strong offline event. Surely we have a growing number of the co-working spaces, both run by government, by private sector. Again, fantastic, because the entrepreneurs, they need to have this shoulder peer to bounce the idea, to answer some technical questions when it comes to coding and R&D. And last but not least is surely the investment side of the ecosystem has been developing. There are very much 2 trends that we've seen over the past year. First and foremost, I think It was remarkable by the fact that entrepreneurs managed to secure, entrepreneurs and startups who got the funding prior COVID-19, most of them managed to build those relationships with investors to get this extra support and fuel the business during the pandemic. But at the same time, we've seen the growing number of the angel investor networks in Dubai. Again, this is a fairly new trend for us. And if you look back at 2020, I think it was partially attributed to the fact that on the one hand, you have this pool of entrepreneurs and startups starving for cash. On the other hand, people in 2020 were looking for the asset diversification and looking for the ways how they can diversify their portfolio being in Dubai. And again, we all stuck here in our community, and this is where we got much closer to the communities, and there was much more spotlight on those companies and startup companies who are providing service to the community, who are there to support community in the good times and in the bad times as well.
Yes, definitely. And I just, can't wrap my head around the number of, you said you guys have helped over 9,000 founders, and that's a really, really big number. And it shows you how, much love Dubai Chamber has actually put into this ecosystem. And I know you guys have a lot of great programs, from, the co-founder matchmaking to, all these initiatives that you guys run, which is always very well led. Yes, and I agree with a lot of, what you've stated about, the angel. We've been seeing a lot of angel networks coming up in the last year or so. I think diversification of people's income, even on a personal level. I think, with COVID, people started thinking, okay, maybe I should have some more income from other sources, and it's a very good, which really, brings me back to my next issue or question that I'd like to ask you. So how is Dubai acting as a hub, for even local startups, even regional startups, into access into the global markets? And obviously I also want to add, what's the link to the construction companies, and how can we link them to prop tech and construction tech companies? I know it's a very long question, but I think you can do it.
Thank you, Abe. So I'll break it down and take one piece at a time for us to chew. So I think let's start by the fact that Dubai has historically been building the brand as the business hub for the MENA region and for the international expansion. And that's why not surprised. It wasn't surprised that during the COVID-19, when we all around the world, businesses, individuals, we went into the lockdown. We as Dubai Chamber, we have been running market access program. And for us, the big question was, will the corporates stay with market access, or they will withdraw their inquiries of the procurement opportunities to work with the startups? And the second question was, if the corporates stay, will we have enough solutions? Will we have enough supply of those solutions from the startups? But the answer was, yes, Dubai stayed opened, and the corporate sector was voluntarily and involuntarily was striving for the digital transformation and has a thirst for digital, affordable, agile technology solutions that startups could provide. And those solutions were not coming only from the local market, but from the overseas market. And this again is one of the best testimony to Dubai as a test bed for cutting-edge technologies. Because in the end, we with you know what's the most important for B2B startup when they're coming with some minimum viable product. It's a one successful POC. One successful POC project with the big name where they test, where they learn, where they get mentors. Not necessarily they will cash out, not necessarily they will get the project right? But they will learn so much, and the very fact the testimonial working and being trusted by the corporate, it just opens so many opportunities for these startups. And this is what we've seen with the market access. We've been running the program for nearly 4 years right now, and about 35% of the finalists who get to pitch to the corporate actually get to the POC projects. In our history, we've seen joint ventures assigned, POC projects run, and so on and so forth. And then the journey of the startup is very much set. It can pivot, but it's set. So this is to answer about what Dubai has to offer to the startups. It's the POC platform. We like to joke to make a jokes in our conversation with other ecosystem players, with different incubators, accelerators in other markets that we as Dubai Chamber constantly hold. Consider Dubai as this giant sandbox. Whatever solution you bring to here, test it here, and then there is enough players in the market to support your international expansion. And this is what you hinted in your previous bit, is that, for instance, Dubai Chamber, we, as a response to COVID 2020, we introduced the program called Scale Up Dubai. And part of the Scale Up Dubai program, we take all the fantastic scale-up companies who have done the POCs here, and then we plug them into the network of international offices of Dubai Chamber. And with the support of international offices, they expand to Ethiopia, Kenya, Brazil, China, Central America, CIS countries. So, and it's only what I mentioned what Dubai Chamber is doing, and there are so many more entities who are engaged in doing a lot of support for that. It's interesting fact by the construction industry, I don't know if you brought it up early in your series, is that if we look at the past decade, the productivity improvement in the manufacturing industry was about 20%. The productivity improvement within construction industry was only 2%. And then we are talking about these massive conglomerates with multiple verticals, with diversified assets, and with very heavy capital involved into the business operations. And only 2%, it's a marginal efficiency improvement. And at the same time, productivity improvement, at the same time, we have this realm of startups. And okay, some people prefer to call them PropTech, but if we use this term PropTech, we will end up with very small fraction of the startups who are falling within the pool. And I think COVID 2020 showed us that the future and the opportunity within the industry lies with the startups, with the founders who are going after cross-sectorial, cross-industrial solution application. And then the question is, what data construction companies have? They have information not only about the physical assets that they have overview on the different materials performance, they have overview on the consumer behavior, on the and many on the massive numbers of the workforce engaged in the construction industry. Again, I'm just counting these assets and data points that any construction company would have, and I'm thinking how many solutions could be built and tapped into by the startup founders.
I'd love to talk more, but I know we can talk forever. But I know me and you, we have our roots in this ecosystem in the UAE, and but we are really limited for time. So thank you a lot, Natalia, and I want to thank all of your efforts and the Dubai Chambers in really building this ecosystem and nurturing this ecosystem. Thank you for tuning in to our episode, and you can visit our website, www.startupcity.ae, where all the episodes will be hosted. And to know more about the Big Five, please visit big5.ae. Thank you very much.